Welcome back to Everything and the Gym. My name is Shelby. I am your host, and I have a special guest. What is your name?
I'm Aaron.
You work here at 1440.
Yes, yeah, I do.
Yes. You and I had a conversation last Friday. I can't tell you how much I needed that conversation. I was like, honestly, Taryn was like, I can't work out today, and so I was like, oh, I don't want to work out. And then I'm like, okay, where do I want to work out? And so I came here, and I was like, none of my friends are here. And then you came and like sat right in front of me, and we had this beautiful conversation, and I was like, oh my gosh, I needed to be here today. Anyway, I want to talk about that conversation because it was so cool.
Yeah.
We were talking about rest days. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
Okay, we were talking about rest days, and I can't remember what came next. How did we get on? I know we ended up on 8,000 workouts between.
Oh, so we were talking about like listening to your body.
Yes.
Right. So if you look at, say your normal routine is 4 days a week, you got 3 rest days. If you wake up and you feel terrible, if you look at it 52 weeks out of the year, 4 days a week, multiply that out. If you wake up and you feel terrible, and it would be better for you to take a rest day, in the grand scheme of things, as long as that doesn't turn into a week, a month, whatever,
Yeah.
one rest day might be more beneficial than coming in and having a terrible workout.
Yeah, and we broke down the math though for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like from the age of 20 to the age of 60, we did it till 60.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we multiplied it by 4.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, how did we do that math?
I don't remember what workout frequency or whatever we used, but it was something along the lines of like if you work out consistently from the time you're 20 to 60, and say you work out 5 days a week, that times 52 times 40 years comes out to something crazy, like you said, like 8,000 workouts or more.
So good. I have thought about that conversation every single time I came back in this building because it is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is okay to just stay home a day.
Yes.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, and I mean the key thing being is it's a day,
Yeah.
It doesn't become a consistent like, oh, I don't like my arm day or whatever.
Yeah.
And then consistently you skip that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean that's something that I use. I'll come in and work out, or like I'll come in and do my warm up and say my knee just hurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go through an extended warm up, some light stuff, try and see if it works itself out. But if by my first set it still hurts the same way, I'm just going to take that day as a recovery day. There's no reason to push it, because if I push it too hard and then I hurt myself, then I'm looking at 3 weeks off instead of just taking 1 day off to let it feel better.
Yeah. How long have you been working out?
I've been working out. I started working out when I was like 12.
Why?
So played sports growing up, and my mom is a teacher, and so I was stuck up at school, after school all the time, running around doing stuff. So one day the football coach grabbed me and my buddy, whose mom was also a teacher, and he was like, all right, instead of just getting in trouble running around, you're coming into the weight room and working out with the high school guys. So we started learning how to work out then, really liked it. Didn't really do it a ton, just kind of when I felt like it. Just thought it was something fun to do. Grew up playing soccer, so being super muscular isn't the most important thing in the world. But still enjoyed it. And then when I got to about my senior year of high school, like 17 or so, that's when I really fell in love with it, started to learn a little bit more, other than just, whatever coach wrote up on the board. Started doing my own research. And so I would really say I've been working out since I was 12 or so, but since I was like 18 is what I could really put my name behind what I was doing, putting more effort behind it, that kind of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had that early on. Like I did gymnastics, which is a lot of like where my workouts kind of stem from, like conditioning wise sometimes. I wish though that like somebody would have taught me to lift weights.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that unless you're in one of the main sports, like baseball, volleyball, basketball, football, or at least Texas at least, you're not really touching the weight room all that often,
Yeah.
and there's not much learning that goes on behind it.
But you didn't grow up here, right?
No, so I grew up in DFW.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
still in Texas. But
Yeah.
grew up in DFW.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a small little private school there. So it was definitely a cool experience because being in a small, my mom taught at a small private school, so I got to go there too.
Yeah.
It was much more like all the teachers knew who I was because I went there since I was in kindergarten. So it's basically I had like 50 moms and dads basically when I was at school because
Yeah.
they all knew who I was, they all knew my mom. So that's what kind of led, it was kind of a blessing in that way where like the football coach, who was a high school football coach, knew who I was when I was, in 5th grade or whatever.
Yeah.
And just grabbed me, took me to the weight room, was like, all right, now you're working out.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. All right. So what do you do now?
as far as like how I work out and stuff like that.
Like, what is your job?
Oh,
What do
gotcha.
you do as a human? What do you
Gotcha,
do?
yeah. So I'm the head trainer here at 1440. So I head up all the group classes that we have in this room, and keep client relations with all of our personal training clients, kind of make sure everything's running smoothly on that end. It's a lot of fun. It gets into the kind of the more nerdy stuff, which I love about, program writing, all that kind of stuff. I really like to sit down and nerd out about tons of different things in that realm of stuff. So it's
So you're
super
ready
fun.
to talk about that area.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. No, I love program writing. I love the research, and then doing it myself is obviously a lot of
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, it's a great job. I love what I do. I work a ton, but I love every second of it. It's fun.
How many hours a day do you work?
It varies a lot, but I usually most of the time I'm up here by 7 a.m. and I usually leave around 7 p.m. So it's usually I'm sitting between like 10 and 12 hours a day.
That's wild.
Yeah, because I'll, middle of the day when it's slower, I don't have any classes or clients. That's when I'll clock out, I'll work out, or I'll run home, go grab my food, something like that. So there'll be an hour or two throughout the middle of the day where I'm not actually working, but yeah.
And then do you work weekends? Or are you Monday through Friday?
Consistently Monday through Friday, but being in charge of the group classes, I kind of just do what's necessary. So I have one Saturday morning class, but that's only an hour. So I'm up here from 9 to 10. But if I have to be after, that's usually like my catch-up day. So if there's anything I got behind on through the week or, something extra happened with a client or something like that, Saturday morning, mid-afternoon is when I usually make up on that.
But you're also going to school.
Yes, yeah.
So where does that fit in?
So this last semester is actually the smoothest it's gone, because I managed to get all of my classes in the middle of the day. So I had my morning classes, which I was done at 10:30. Then I had class starting at noon over at ASU. So I had like an hour and a half to go home, change, go up to school, and then I would be up at school till, really depending on the day, but either 2 or 3, and then I'd be done at school up there, and then come right back up here for, sometimes I'd have a client, and then I'd have classes starting at 4:15. So yeah,
Busy.
Yeah, this past like winter and spring, I didn't go home normally. I would leave the house at about 6:45 and wouldn't come home till about 8.
Do you meal prep?
Yes, that's like
Yeah.
a lifesaver, especially as busy as I am.
Yeah.
Meal prepping and like batch cooking, so
Yeah.
cooking large amounts, even if it's not the same food. Like with my my meat, for example, if I'm eating chicken, I'll cook a pretty basic like type of chicken that I can use in all of my meals.
That's awesome.
So like the flavor would work with rice, with noodles, with whatever I'm eating.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Because I'm always mind blown. How much protein are you eating per setting? I'm always
like
mind
per
blown.
meal. Okay, yeah. So
Per
per
meal.
meal, it changes depending on what phase of growth I'm in.
Okay, but right now, what phase of growth
Currently-
are you in?
Currently, right now, I'm eating about anywhere between 60 and 90 grams of protein per meal.
What does that look like?
Usually, so like for breakfast, it's just gonna be a lot of egg whites.
Yeah.
Normally, my standard breakfast is like one egg, then a bunch of egg whites, maybe a protein shake or maybe some like chicken or something like that thrown in with that. Yeah. So my go-to, just because it's so simple and it works with everything, is chicken. But I try to keep a variety. So chicken, steak.
So what is lunch? What does the amount for lunch look like?
Oh, the amount? It's quite a bit. So like lunch is usually my biggest meal because it's either right before or right after I work out. So I
Yeah.
try to center a lot of my, especially carbs, around my workout. That'll be like easily over a pound and a half of total
Oh
food.
my
Yeah, so I'll usually eat between 8 and 10 ounces of whatever meat that I'm cooking, and then the standard is a cup of uncooked rice, so it'll be like 2 cups of cooked rice. That's like my biggest meal throughout the day, and I won't always eat that all in one sitting, but because I'm at work, I pack it all together. So I usually eat that over about a 30-40 minute period. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My stomach would explode.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. There are definitely times where I'm like not wanting to finish it. I have to like force myself to finish the food.
Okay, so let's reverse it now because so you're in a bulk.
Correct.
Yeah. What would a cut lunch look like compared to like your bulk lunch?
So it would be similar proportions, but a little bit less total food. Especially in a cut, I like to prioritize my carbs around the workout because you're in a calorie deficit, so you're gonna feel like you have less energy. So I want to get the most out of my workout, so I put most of my carbs before and right after my workout. So the carbs will actually stay pretty similar in the amount. It just won't be rice. It'll usually be like sweet potatoes or something like that. So it's more total food for less carbs. And then the protein will be about 6 to 8 ounces of a meat, that I'm eating.
Yeah.
And then veggies, I try to throw in veggies with every meal. And veggies I do the same way. I'll get like bell peppers, onions, asparagus, zucchini, whatever. And like bake or saute a ton of it and then throw that over my noodles or my rice or my chicken, whatever, on
That's
every
such
meal.
a good idea.
Yeah.
I usually prep like my chicken and my carb. Like this week we've had different chicken and rice, but I've never thought to like prep my vegetables. That's so crazy.
Yeah, it definitely gets kind of old quick.
Yeah.
So if you're a person that can't eat the same lunch like 3-4 days in a row, might not be worth it to do.
I think I could do lunch. Yeah.
Yeah, so the one thing that I can't meal prep is breakfast.
Yeah.
That's
fresh eggs.
Yes, yeah, it has to be. If I'm eating eggs, it has to be fresh. I can't. It's the most disgusting thing ever.
Yeah.
Like microwaved eggs
Yeah.
that you cooked the night before. I can't do it. So, the only way I can like prep my breakfast is if I'm eating not breakfast items,
Yeah.
and if I'm eating just like, a steak and potatoes for breakfast
Yeah.
or something.
Do you snack throughout the day?
Yes, yeah, I do.
So what are you snacking on? Because you're already eating so much.
Yes. So primarily, surprisingly for me, the protein is the easiest thing for me to eat throughout the day. Like I hit my protein goal through my main meals, no problem. So a lot of people, it's normally like, shakes or whatever. But for me, it's usually carb-based snacks, so like rice cakes, or I'll literally have extra rice, like that I just reheat and just eat a bowl of rice or something like that. And that's typically where I get most of my fats in the day as well. I like to have my fats paired with like a larger carb meal. The digestion just feels a lot better for me.
Yeah.
I don't feel bloated as much if I have a little bit of fat with my carbs. So,
How long have you been tracking what you eat?
as seriously as I have been now for about a year and a half to 2 years.
What have you learned about yourself from tracking for that long?
From tracking, I learned about myself, if I don't plan ahead, I can't just figure it out as I go. I have to plan out my meal. If I just, eat a meal, or like just randomly decide whatever I'm eating and don't think about how much I'm gonna eat, whatever, I'm gonna break it. But if I plan ahead, like 6 ounces of chicken, a cup of rice, this much veggies, right? If I do that, then I'm gonna stick to it. But if I try to like, okay, I'm gonna go to Chipotle and whatever, and figure out how much I should eat of everything once I'm there, I'm just going to get whatever I want. And then it's going to get way out of whack really quick. So that's my biggest thing that I've learned is that. Another thing that I learned that I think is pretty consistent to most people is the amount of fat consumption that you have is always like 10% higher than whatever you think.
Yeah.
Unless you're like meticulously tracking all of that.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I learned. Like when I first started tracking things was probably like 4 or 5 years ago, but I was just looking at my protein or not being very consistent with it. And that's when I would track, I'd be like, holy crap, I had like double the amount of fat I thought, I had eaten that day.
Yeah.
And that's where like, I think a lot of people get stuck in their progress as well. So.
I feel like you need some fat though, right?
Oh yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely can't cut out fats completely. It's also impossible
Yeah.
to do, because even if you're eating like very lean chicken breast, that's still gonna have a few grams of fat per ounce. So.
But the fat also helps like with digestion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you also, when you look at the micronutrients, a lot of vitamins that our body needs are fat-soluble vitamins. So we have to have fat in our system for our body to be able to absorb and use those vitamins. Otherwise, it's just filtering straight through your body. So fats are definitely necessary. I'm definitely a person, though, that does better on lower fats just consistently. Like even on my bulk right now, I'm only having about 50 grams of carbs, or maybe not carbs, 50 grams of fat per day. That's like my top end. And so that's relatively low compared to a lot of people. A lot of people can like handle more, but I found if I go above that 50 grams of fat per day, I start putting on body fat really quickly. Just whatever it is about my body doesn't like much more than that.
Yeah.
So.
Do you track, like, do you track like in an app?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I track in an app I use an app called Macros First. It's very similar to like MyFitnessPal, except you don't have to pay to use
Okay.
the barcode scanner. That's the only reason
Yeah.
I really use that one. It's super simple, really easy to use. So that way anything that has a barcode on it, I can just scan it, plugs it in for me, but I don't have to pay for it.
What was that called?
Macros First. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a really simple app as well. It lets you adjust stuff really easily that a lot of apps make you pay to adjust, to like have custom numbers for your protein, fat, and carbs. You can do all of that, set your total calories, and you can look at all of that in different ways. So you can look at how much you have left, how much you've already eaten, or you can look at it in a percentage basis. So it's pretty friendly to like however you like to track your intake. It's pretty friendly to all of it, which is cool.
I'm gonna have to look that up because I didn't know there was another app to use.
Yes,
for
yeah.
that.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a ton. A lot of them are pretty crappy.
Yeah.
But so I got mad. I kept getting mad at MyFitnessPal having to pay for
Yeah.
it, because I started using MyFitnessPal way back when everything was completely free. There was nothing, and then like slowly but surely like features started to get put onto a premium part of the app. And so then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm just going to download like 15 nutrition apps and see which one is good.
Yeah.
So that's the one I landed on.
All right.
Yeah, it makes it, one thing that's really nice about it too is there's no ads or anything like that. So
Yeah.
you're not constantly getting bombarded with like, hire a coach, whatever, do all that kind of stuff. It's just, you get yourself set up and they don't mess
It's
with you at all.
yours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super nice.
Yeah. Also not a sponsor, but
Yeah, not a sponsor, but yeah, it's a
Yeah.
cool, check it out, Macros First. I believe it's on the Apple Store. I'm pretty sure it's on the like Google Play Store as well. I have a few clients that I actually reference to use that with, because it's just so easy to use. You don't have to know really anything about nutrition to start tracking stuff. So that's usually the first place I start people who are interested in learning more about like performance nutrition.
yeah.
Just start tracking everything there. Just plug it in and forget about it. Then you can look at that and start tweaking stuff a few months later.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that
So
one.
you use MyFitnessPal?
I do use my
Yeah.
MyFitnessPal right now, but like my story, so I started tracking my food back before I was like weightlifting. I was just doing at-home workouts. I used Beachbody,
Okay.
and I did their 21-day fix workout plan, and I just repeated it, and I think it was like when I was going into it the second time, they have a container system.
Oh, okay.
And so you get so many cups of protein a day. You get this color is rice or carbs, and this color is your vegetables. Anyway, I was stuck on that for a long time, and it worked. I saw a drastic change, but I also wasn't eating like healthy beforehand. Life was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I started that, and then I started the gym, and I started asking questions, and I was like, well, what do you eat? And sometimes it was like chicken nuggets, sometimes it was like, oh, I eat this, this, and this. And so I started like just playing with my own, and then my husband ended up losing a lot of weight tracking through MyFitnessPal.
Gotcha.
And so he's like, you really should like look at
into it.
this. You
Yeah.
could probably figure some things out. And so I started playing with that, and then I'm just not consistent with like the habit of adding it in
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah, that's something that, I mean, honestly, it took me a long time to get into the
Yeah.
habit of. It's just like anything. Like when you're a kid, you have to get reminded to brush your teeth, like that kind of thing. It just takes
Yeah.
forever to, remember to do it. But the more that you do it when you think about it, then it just becomes thoughtless at that point.
Yeah. And I feel like you would probably be pretty good on this topic because of your mindset. Like it's okay to get off of that track sometimes, depending on based on what your goals are. But like if you want the cookie sometimes,
Yeah,
have the
so
cookie.
it's I think there's like two kind of big things to think about when you look at like cheat meals or like allowing yourself to get off track. One of the biggest things is knowing who you are as a person. So I'm the type of person, whenever I'm in a diet phase or like a fat loss phase, if I go off track, that's going to lead to like a week of just eating crap all day, every day. I can't stop myself, right? Because as soon as I have that one thing, I'm like dreaming about food, right? That's
Yeah.
all I can think about. So, but there are other people where like they can have a bite of a cookie and then throw the rest of the cookie away and be like, I'm happy now. I'm not one of those people. So
Yeah.
you have to figure out, first of all, like what kind of person you are when it comes to that kind of thing. But then the second part of that is if you're trying to lose weight. So if you're looking to lose weight, and say you're eating 500 calories less a day, right? That's a pretty standard, like pretty much like everyone will say about 500 calories less a day when you start out. That's 3,500 calories per week, right? So if you decide to have a cheat meal every Saturday, but that cheat meal is, puts you 1,000 calories over your daily goal. So you're now in a total, instead of being 500 less, you're 1,000 over. That's 1,500 calories. Well, now for the entire week, you've only eaten 2,000 calories less instead of 3,500 calories. So I kind of think about it a little bit like a game in a way of like your calories are like points, and you got to hit, a certain amount of calories because we want to be healthy. We don't want to like starve ourselves,
Yeah.
right? But I'm looking at 3,500 calories less. So is this cookie, is this, McDonald's or whatever it is, however many calories that is, however much fat it is that worth the hit for me? Like, is that few minutes of like, this cookie tastes great, is that worth like 800 calories lost, basically a whole day lost? Is it worth a day's worth of work for me?
So that's a great way to look at it. Are you training for something specific? Are you personally training for a goal?
Currently, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I started working out, I just liked to work out.
Yeah.
But over the past few years, I got really into bodybuilding. Probably since about 2019, I've gotten super into bodybuilding. And my training now for the past year has been solely focused on just getting bigger and getting leaner over time. So my goal right now is by the beginning of next year, basically this time next year, to compete in a show.
All right.
Yeah, so that's my goal right now.
So
yeah.
what do you need to go from like where you are now to be show ready?
So the big thing for me right now is staying lean while I'm gaining muscle. So my body can put on muscle really quickly, but with that I can put on fat really quickly. So my diet has to be super dialed in. I can't have hardly any cheat days or anything like that. my body just responds really quickly to putting fat on. So the biggest problem for me is going to be staying lean while I'm still trying to get a few more pounds in for the rest of the year. Because I do want to get a little bit bigger before I step on stage, but with that, I can't sacrifice too much body fat.
Which stage are you going on? Where, like, what's the goal?
Oh, like what
which,
competition?
Yeah.
So I want to compete in Dallas is probably the closest one to us that has high level shows, or in the amateur category at least. And for my first show, I'm probably going to compete in most categories, like classic physique. Well, I mean, in the amateurs, it changes from like professional bodybuilding. If you look at the categories of professional bodybuilding, you have like physique, classic physique, 212, and open. But in the amateurs, it goes by like weight class and stuff like that. So there's a lot more divisions. It also depends on where you're competing. But I plan on just competing in most of the divisions, even guys who are a lot bigger than me and whatever. Just because it's my first show, I don't really care how I do.
Yeah.
I just want to be like happy with the package that I present. So looking lean, looking big, and then just doing the best I can with posing, and start learning it. Just get as much experience under my belt as I can on the first show. So I'm looking to compete in, my weight class, plus, the open, which I don't remember what weight class that is, but yeah. So competing in all of it. But there's a lot of hurdles there. I mean, bodybuilding is a sport that has a lot that goes into it, a lot going on with it. So I haven't taken a ton of steps that a lot of people do really early on these days, like getting into the whole like steroid and that kind of world. I haven't stepped into any of that at all. There are a lot of people these days that do that super early on. I don't like that at all. So if I were to ever do that, that's years down the road if I thought, I really had some potential. But so there's a lot going on. So I don't expect really much from it. I just want to do the best I can and like live the lifestyle of it all.
Do you take other supplements, so like creatine and all, like, are you taking vitamins? What is your supplement intake like?
So for me, since I try to get as much of my protein intake from food as possible. So I almost never have protein shakes. Those are kind of like an emergency. Like I'm running low on time, forgot to cook the night before, whatever it is, I'll grab a protein shake. So I always have like protein powder on deck just in case I need it, but I try not to use it. Not because it's bad or anything, I just prefer to eat my protein. And then creatine is the other main like supplement. I pretty much always take that. It's the most researched performance supplement on earth. There's like thousands of studies on it. There's no adverse side effects, only positive benefits. I think anyone, no matter who you are, man, woman, young, old, can benefit from creatine supplementation. And then other than that, I take like a regular multivitamin. I don't get very fancy with it at all. Since I eat so many veggies, I'm not deficient in hardly anything, and the multivitamin has anything major that most people are deficient in, so that covers all the bases for whatever I possibly am lacking in. Yeah, so I'm pretty simple with like vitamins and stuff like that. I'm super simple with it.
Yeah.
Just multivitamin and then just eat tons of veggies.
I'm excited for you to go on stage now, because like
Yeah.
you're like a year out, and so going into it, I don't know, it's going to be a lot of work, but I feel like you've got it in you to get there. So.
It's kind of a double-edged sword with it being a year out. I think it's a benefit for me because it is like more of a long-term thing, right? I'm looking at almost a year from now, so it's kind of easy to lose sight of that. But I mean, we've talked before about like mindset stuff, right? I look at something even long-term, right? Like if it's a year out, that means I have 365 chances to get better. So when you start thinking about it that way, each day becomes more and more important, because taking that, that day off from the gym when you were supposed to go work out, or stopping through the drive-thru on the way home because you didn't want to cook when you got home, all that becomes like, well, this is one day down the drain if I, mess up. So it becomes much more important. Every day has some weight to it.
Yeah.
Not just, oh, that's a year from now, who cares, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'll figure it out in a few months or whatever.
When you start seeing those numbers like
Yes.
dwindle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then you blink and you're 200 days out. You're like, oh man, I've hardly gotten any better. Like my diet's still not great. My training's okay. I'm not super consistent. It's like, well, what have I been doing for the past 150 days, you know? So.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that note, we are going to cut to a commercial break, and we will be back soon. I don't know how long that was. Did you have a timer going?
Let me see. Timer. I don't know how you did that, but it was 20, it was 24 something.
What would you do with an extra 60 minutes in your day? Do you go for a walk? Do you pick up the weights? Maybe you even help a friend. There are 1,440 minutes in a day. Here at Fitness 1440, we believe in making every minute count. Spend some of those minutes here with us on our turf zone, in our free weights area, the cold plunge, the sauna, and personalized small group fit classes because we are open 24/7. Fitness 1440 is family owned, which means you are giving back to the San Angelo community when you spend time with us. Our members are like family here, and we take pride in our cleanliness. Use code 1445 to receive your first month free and join the Fitness 1440 community today. That's 1440 VIBES. And don't forget to make every minute count. And we're back. We were just talking about nutrition and bulking and competing and all of that good stuff. So if you missed it, go back. Let's go into workouts though. You say you like to plan workouts, write workouts. Do you write your own workouts?
Yes, I do. Since it's something I enjoy, it's, you know, I love writing workouts. I found one of my old computers the other day from when I was a freshman in college, and there's a whole file with like 50 or 60 workouts, or like, you know, workout programs that just, they never went anywhere. It was just, I did it for fun to see what it was like, and then tried them out myself to see how good I was at it. So it's something that I've practiced a lot, but yeah, I really enjoy writing my own programs.
So what does your programs look like right now?
So right now I'm doing a 5-day split. So I work out 5 days a week. My main emphasis right now is my quads and my shoulders. So I'm hitting my shoulders I hit 3 times a week. And then my quads I'm hitting twice a week. And then most everything, my back I only hit once a week. And then chest I have basically 2 days a week, but I have a day that's like a chest emphasis day, and then another day where I do a little bit of chest stuff, but it's not like a main portion of the workout.
How long are you working out?
It'll generally end up being around an hour to an hour 15, but that really just depends on like how efficient I'm being. Like if I'm scrolling through my phone, whatever, that can turn into a 2-hour workout super quick. Not because I'm working out more, just I'm sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Or if I get distracted, like talking to people, whatever. Since I work here, I know like most of the members here.
Yeah.
That like I'll see somebody I haven't seen in a few days, whatever, and before I know it, I talk to them for 15, 20 minutes, and I haven't done, you know, my next set, and I've only done 3 total sets so far.
Yeah, I have a bad habit of that
Yeah.
too.
So, you know, it really, like if I'm in an empty gym by myself, you know, nothing to distract me, those workouts are about an hour. Yeah. I try to keep it as efficient as possible.
What is your favorite workout right now?
Exercise or day?
Exercise day.
My favorite day is right now my first leg day. It's heavy Smith machine squatting, which I haven't done in a long time. I haven't messed around with a Smith machine in a long time, and I'm really enjoying it, especially the way that I have been doing it. It's super tough, really, like it hurts really bad, but it's one of my favorites. I have my heels on a pad, lift my heels up so I can squat way deeper and also like target my quads and glutes a little bit more. And it's brutal, but I love it.
How heavy are you doing that one?
That one I'm sitting at like 230 something for like sets of 12 to 15.
Oh my God.
It's it's brutal. Like it's those are
can't
ones where I have to like sit down for a few minutes after and like rethink life. But yeah, that's probably like my favorite day, just mainly because of that exercise alone. But I'd say like my favorite exercise of like all time that I have never disliked it. I've always loved it is deadlifts.
How much can you deadlift?
Last time I PR'd was a few months ago. I deadlifted 515. And that's one
That's
that,
a lot.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty decent. I always compare myself to like, whoever's like, if I were a power lifter, who in my weight class is the best.
I'm going to give you girl advice right now. Don't compare yourself.
Yes, I know. That's something I am terrible at. I compare myself a lot. But the deadlift is one of the first, like, like of the big three, like powerlifting lifts, squat, bench, deadlift, that I got good at really quick. Once I learned how to do it, I'm a shorter dude, so I'm better at deadlifting because I don't have to lift the bar as far. And so it's just fun. I got good at it quick, which made me like it, and then, so I just love doing that lift.
Well, congratulations. I don't
Thank you.
think I will ever be at 500.
Yeah, no, deadlift's a weird one. If you don't deadlift a lot, even if you're super strong, there's someone who could be like theoretically weaker than you but better at deadlifting.
Yeah.
And so they're going to deadlift a lot more than you. So it's
Yeah.
something you got to be in the practice of to
Yeah.
be good at.
But you've also been practicing that for a long time too,
Yes.
though, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing of like when I hit that, the time before that when I PR'd, like, I don't know, 8-9 months ago, I don't like to max out very often. Since I do bodybuilding now, it doesn't matter like what my 1 rep max is. And the risk profile on that is super high. So like it's very fun, and I do it because it's fun, but like I understand there's a lot of risk involved, so I don't do that a lot. So the last time I did it, I hadn't deadlifted in over a year. And so I hit a PR of like 495 or something like that, which was pretty good. But then, when I did it again, when we had an event here, is when I did it, and I deadlifted 515, and I don't think I'm really any stronger than that, but my program at the time had deadlifts in it. So I'd gotten back in the practice of being good at deadlifts again. So I think that was like really the biggest factor. I didn't think I was really that much stronger, but a 20-pound PR is like crazy. But I don't think I was that much stronger. I think I was just like technically got good at it again.
So why do you work out? I ask everybody this. Why do you work out where you work out?
So I work out here. I started working out here before I worked here. So I worked out here for a year before I ever even applied to work here. It was the first place that I went to in San Angelo that felt like it accepted people who worked out in all different ways. You could be a CrossFitter, an Olympic lifter, just your average Joe who wants to just stay healthy. You could be anybody and work out here. Nobody's going to get their feathers ruffled because you're doing something that they don't like or whatever. Everybody just, and then second to that, everything's really nice in here. Nothing's ever broken down. If it ever breaks down, whenever, before I worked here, it was like, if it broke down, it was fixed within a week. And it's the same now that I work here. Like, if something breaks down, we get the parts order. As soon as the parts are in, we fix it. So there's never really anything broken down. Everything's clean, nice. Everybody's always super friendly here, staff and members included. Like, I've never had a bad experience with a staff member or, a member of the gym. Everybody's always super nice.
So why did you decide to work here?
So I decided to work here. I had applied at a few other gyms for personal training positions. They were not paying well at all. They were also like big corporate gyms, so there's a lot of like red tape that goes into it, and a lot of them, they give you a client with whatever. You don't get to decide on a lot of things. And here, since 1440 is a big company. They have like over 50 locations, but it's franchise. So the owners are here, they live here. And so like they're the ones that interviewed me, hired me. They give me a lot of leeway to do what I feel is best, which is great. It's kind of like the best of both worlds of being like a freelance personal trainer who's not attached to any gym, but because I have so much freedom. But then I also get the benefit of I'm in a gym, working in a gym every day, so I have access to more possible clients, all of that kind of stuff.
How do you currently get your clients?
So there's really two main ways. So we'll get people that will online see us, or like see one of our trainers on Instagram, something like that, and message us. And those are really nice because you don't have to do any work whatsoever. But then the other main way that we get it is from current members in the gym or new members that like sign up and are interested. For me, I've had the most success with the more that I'm up here and the more that I'm talking to members, new members, signing people up, all that kind of stuff, creating a relationship. People are generally much more open to start asking questions, and that can lead into being clients. So for anybody who's like trying to be a trainer, anything like that, I think the best thing that you can do is being in the gym more, starting to get to know people. Social media is super awesome, a great way to reach out to more people, but starting out, it's going to be that personal touch that like gives you the edge. Like actually knowing someone and caring about someone, they're going to be much more likely to like ask you about that kind of stuff, which then opens all the doors for you to just start leading them into being one of your clients.
So your job now, are you more like, because you're over the trainers at the moment, right?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, so our personal trainers here,
they're contract, so it's not so
Yes.
much like you manage them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't do anything to like tell them what to do or anything with clients like that. I'm more of like managing, making sure like everything with our software system's going well, our training apps are going well. With all of our personal trainers, I give them full, they have full ability to do whatever. Because we also have we have Bonnie that works here. She's like, there's no way I'm ever gonna tell her anything. Like Bonnie is a 3 or 4 time Olympia bodybuilder competitor.
Yeah.
She's been training people for 30 plus years. Like she's the real deal, the best of the best type of person. There's no way me as I've only been training people for 4 years, and I haven't done any kind of competing. I really haven't proven myself right as far as fitness goes. There's no way I'm ever gonna tell her, hey, I don't think you should make that lady do that or whatever. She knows what's up.
It's funny you say that because I haven't spoken to her. I want to have her on the podcast, but a part of me feels like I need to be further to have her on. I don't know why, but she's just
she's
so
awesome. Yeah, she's super nice. She's she's such a great person. So when she came to 1440 to start training her clients here, from day one, she was super nice to all the staff when she was coming in for meetings, everything like that. And she never once has been mean to anyone. She's always super polite and so knowledgeable and willing to just give away all that knowledge.
I just want to do her story so well because I know it's going to be a good one.
Oh yeah, no, she's got a crazy story because before she was a bodybuilder too, she was a powerlifter and had I'm pretty sure a world record at one point for bench press. So she's legit.
All right, I'm going to have to work up the courage to go talk to her.
Don't be afraid though. She's one of those people that just, you can go up and talk to her whenever.
Okay.
But back to your original question, as far as with the trainers and everything like that, all of our trainers are contracted trainers, so I don't do anything with them. If the only thing that I really do with them is if I have a client or a potential client that I think would be a good fit for one of them, I send them their way. That's really basically the only thing that I'll do. But really where the head trainer type position comes into play for me is with our group classes. So
do you write the workouts for that?
Yes, yeah. So I write all the workouts every month for the for our group class. It's called 3BT. It's a not really functional fitness, but it's like an educational fitness class basically. So it's primarily weightlifting, getting people. My goal is to get people who have never really touched weights before, seeing that it's not scary, not just for crazy meathead type people, it's something that benefits everybody, no matter who you are, and that even if you think you don't like working out, there's some form of working out that you'll enjoy, no
Yeah.
matter what it is. So we go over all different kinds of fitness and exercise through weightlifting. So with our program, like if any of y'all ever come try it out, like you'll see there's tons of different styles of working out that we use in the class. And we track everything, so that way, like I have a few clients who have been with me for like a year now almost. And so I have like 10, 11, 12 sheets of tracked workouts every single week. So I can see like, okay, you were dumbbell bench pressing the 15s when you first came to me with bad form. And now you have picture perfect form and you're bench pressing the 50-pound dumbbells, you know.
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, so you can like, I can sit down with any of my clients and do that, which is like, I think the most valuable part of the class is like, you're learning not just different ways of working out, but how to do it safely and how to do it long term. So it doesn't matter, because I got clients who are, I think my youngest is 25 and my oldest is just turned like 63. So it's a huge range of people that are in the classes, which is fun.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So that's like my main role here is like keeping that class functioning properly. Yeah.
So what is your, let me reverse. What are you going to college for?
So right now I'm in college for exercise science and sports performance. I have one more class to graduate. I finished all my core classes like 2 years ago. It's just like I didn't have enough like history classes and chemistry and all that kind of crap. So I'm finishing all those up so I can actually have the degree. But yeah, I'm getting my degree in exercise science and sports performance.
Okay. Why?
So I started, when I first went to college, I started out as a biology major because I had the goal of going into physical therapy. After my first semester at college, I got kind of like an intern. It wasn't really like an official internship, but I was shadowing a physical therapist who was doing the job that I thought like I wanted to do. He was a sports therapist. He specialized in hand and ankle injuries. So he saw basketball players and football players primarily. So like, that was like the dream job, right? I'm working with athletes, whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm helping. But then even in his clinic, that was a sports clinic, 90% of the clients were people who were either like 65 plus or did not care at all what you were saying, right? They were there because their doctor told them to go. They weren't going to do anything that you told them to do when they were at home, you know, whatever. So it just kind of became, like it felt like a never-ending battle type of, that's kind of like the vibe that I got from physical therapy.
Before you go from that point, I have a question of how did you, I know it wasn't like an official internship, but is it just somebody you asked, like, hey, can I shadow you?
Yeah, so like I peripherally knew the guy from the school that I went to. His kids went to the school that I went to, and he was pretty involved in the sports. I'm pretty sure they were in like middle school at the time or whatever, but he was at like all the football games, all the basketball games, whatever, hanging out with the athletic trainers. And he was like super involved in everything. So I kind of like peripherally knew him. He knew who I was. I knew who he was. And so whenever, you know, I decided I wanted to go into physical therapy, I reached out to him to see if he would, you know, be cool with me just shadowing him a few days a week.
I feel like that's such a good idea, especially like when you are trying to decide to go into a field. Like I have a nurse's license, went through all of that nursing school, like even through clinicals, and I wish I would have gone to like shadow a nurse like in the real like workforce before I got too into it.
Yeah, I think that's a super important thing to do, which it can be, I mean, it was definitely scary when I like emailed him. I'd never like professionally emailed someone before, whatever.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've learned over the time, starting then and over again since, is like, it never hurts to ask, especially if you're very polite, not pushy, anything like that. It never hurts to ask. You're never going to hurt any feelings. If anything, even if they say no, right? Like in that instance, if you were to say no, at least that puts my name out there.
Yeah.
Right? So say I were to go down that road 6 years later, whatever it was when I came out of PT school, that's now a reference that I have. I have his contact information to reach out to for job interviews or, you know, anything like that. That's it never hurts to kind of expand your network of people that you've at least said hi to, you know, once or twice.
This is going to be a good episode.
Yeah, it's that's what's gotten. Anytime I look at something that I've done that I was like impressed that I did, it was simply by like I shook hands before, right, with people. So then there's already a baseline of like, oh, I know this person. They're already going to be much more friendly and forgiving with you of whatever it may be. So when it comes to like a job, if you've met the person that's interviewing you before you go into that interview, it already puts you at the top of the list.
You feel comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you decide physical therapy is not for you. So what was that next?
So that next step, went back to school and was like very, didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't think I like this. It was hard to like look at, your average salary or what, looking physical therapists can make pretty good money, right? So it was like, do I want to kind of be like, about my job and make decent money? Or do I want to look at different options, right? So I decided to, just for the fun of it, look at different majors at my school, what there was. And the one consistent that I always had just in my personal life was the more I was working out, the more I got obsessed with it. I was spending more time researching exercise science than I was in my biology major, like doing homework or anything like that. And so I was like, well, if I'm spending my own free time reading articles, watching videos, whatever, about working out, why am I not in a field that it will lead me to working out or helping other people work out? So then I looked into athletic training and exercise science and decided like I like the performance end. I don't like necessarily the rehab end.
Yeah.
I like, being in somewhere like here, getting people bigger, getting people stronger, healthier. Love that.
So what is the goal? So you get your degree, you're like done with college. What is your next step from there?
So the immediate next step is continuing to be the head trainer here. This program's awesome, so I want to get this program as big as I can. I think anybody really can benefit from it, so I want to just like get as many people to try out this class, get into 1440, work with our trainers, that kind of stuff. That's the immediate goal for the next, however long, at least the next few years is, putting my head down and working hard here. But eventually I want to go back to school for a master's in sports physiology, but I would have to move for that because Angelo State doesn't have a physiology master's or doctorate, so.
What does that allow you to do? So you say you get that, what can you do from there?
So really it doesn't qualify you for much. If I was wanting to go into, like, say, be a strength and conditioning coach at a D1 school or something like that, right? So I wanted to go be the Longhorns football strength and conditioning coach. I would need to get my master's and doctorate in, like, sports physiology or, something in that area, and then that would qualify me for something like that. For what I'm trying to do, it doesn't really qualify me for too much more. It's more just like letters on the end of my name for a resume. For what I want to do, I want to own my own facility eventually, own my own gym. I don't even need a degree for that. I don't need to, do any of that to get that goal. So that's more just something that, like, when the chips fall in the right way, I want to do it more just because I like doing it.
Yeah.
Than anything else. So that's definitely like a while down the road because I want to focus on growing this business, growing my own business, focusing on my own fitness goals for a long time before I dive back into school, because it's been like the past 2-3 years has been pretty brutal. Like doing more than full-time school and full-time work has been pretty rough.
Yeah, your brain needs a massage.
Yes, yeah, it definitely does. So, which will also give me more free time to research how I want to research. Because I really like to, do my own research. I spend a lot of time like if you go to Inter-University, you have access to their online library of peer-reviewed research articles. So I spend a lot of time just putting in different keywords, looking through recent articles, finding authors that I like, or researchers that I like who have published really good work, and just kind of thumbing through stuff.
Do you think you will ever write your own research paper?
More than likely not. It would be something that would be cool. I got to participate in one, in like conducting one at my old university out in Phoenix. They were doing some like VO2 max research studies where you like hook somebody up to a oxygen mask that's like reading your oxygen intake and output, and you put them on a treadmill and basically like slowly increase the speed and the incline until they can't run anymore. And then you're looking at several different markers, but it's called a VO2 max. It's what runners use as like a metric for like how fit they are, how good they're doing in their sport, like marathon runners and stuff like that. I got to like be a lab tech for that, which was super cool. So I got to like help, plug everything in, whatever, just kind of be around it, which was fun. I don't know if I'd ever write my own. There would have to be something that I got really obsessed with that wasn't well researched, and then also have the access to official labs, because that's where you need like your master's and doctorate and be associated with the university to get the funding, get the equipment to be able to produce those kind of studies.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about higher education, and then you read research, and it's like, I wonder if like, I don't know, 20 years down the road, you're like, ooh, I'm researching this.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think I would.
Yeah.
I love reading the stuff. I think I'm more interested in the application of the research rather than the research itself.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, anybody out there that's like a gym rat, whatever, there's this whole like thing of like bro science or like science-based lifting, which I think is kind of crazy to begin with, because if you're one of those people out there that's like, no, science is, science-based lifting is garbage, whatever, it's kind of have to take a step back. It's like you're working out in a gym on equipment that was developed by science through exercises that were developed through scientific principles. So if that's the case, like, there's a lot of contradiction there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm more interested in like